Okay, I got the brake shoes off, and they came off very easily just by prying them back from the adjusting pin and then lifting them off, and they came off as an assembly, so that's pretty easy to do without any spring tools. Now I ran into two problems. Number one, this adjusting pin is hopelessly stuck, the same as it was on the other side, so I'll have to take that to another shop and heat it. And the adjusting screw, that's the end of it, but on the other side it looks like that, and that is hopelessly stuck as well, and will have to be heated up. The cast iron will have to be heated up with a rosebud and then taken out of there, and then I'm going to clean the whole thing up. So that's the next thing I'll do, and I'll get back in a couple of days. Okay, several more things. First of all, this is a grease seal here, so when you heat that up, be careful you don't get that too hot and ruin it. I just removed the brake pedal right there, and the shaft, which is right there. That probably makes it a little bit less clumsy when you do this heating work, so I would take those off. And I have removed the springs from the brake shoes, and these shoes are now ready to remove the old lining, and we'll do that either by grinding off the old rivets or drilling them out. Either one works pretty good, and clean them up real good. And I'll probably show the actual relining of the brakes in a different video than this, because this is a little bit different than the actual mechanical work. Okay, it's the next day. I took this over to another shop and I heated it to loosen up this brake adjusting screw, and also to get one of these pins out. It goes in here. And when you do this, use a number 4 or number 5 tip. You don't need a rosebud, but you want to heat it in this area here. And you need to do that quickly so the heat doesn't conduct down and heat up the entire mass of cast iron and possibly damage this seal. Also, you need to do it quickly enough to where you do not damage the pins. These are hardened steel, and the adjusting screw is hardened steel. You might take the temper out of it or the heat treat out of it if you get it too hot. So you got to do that with great care. But yet, I was surprised at how readily they came out, considering you couldn't even begin to budge them with a large wrench. So many of you will have to do that or something similar like that. This is a very large piece of cast iron. It's a heat sink, so concentrate your heat right in this area and this area and make it happen fast. Use a wet rag and stuff it in here where the seal is, and keep adding water so that stays cool. Otherwise you ruin the seal. Now I'm in the basement here in my machine shop, and we got the drum off of the B, and it doesn't really need turning, although there's some grooves in here, and this wouldn't be easy to turn because this is steel. This is not cast iron. So what I'm going to do is put it into the lathe and sand it a little bit and deglaze it before I put it back on the tractor. I would say this is such a slow speed thing that it's not as critical as a car or a truck. Now what I've done here is I put a bolt through the hole with some washers and spacers and bushings and whatnot, so it's pretty well centered, and I'm going to hold this by the threaded end. I'm going to be turning this real slow, so this is going to work just fine, and I'll meet you over at the old closing lathe in just a minute. Here we are at the closing lathe. It's all chucked up, and I'm going to turn it on and I'm going to polish it a little bit and rough it up with this number 80 emery cloth. You can see there's a little bit of a wobble to it, but that isn't going to matter at all for what I'm doing. So spend about I'm running it at 500 RPM, and I'm going to spend about 5 minutes doing that until I kind of wear down the emery cloth, and then that's going to be good enough for this brake job.